Well, hello, good morning and welcome. Thank you for joining us. Welcome to our latest Bath Life Business Surgery, this time with Bath College. My name is Greg Ingham from Bath Life's publisher Media Clash, and yeah, thanks for joining. Today we have a really stimulating session with Bath College focused on adult learning options. It's really weird when you think about it that for far too many people, education stops at 16 or 18 or 21 or so. Why? What else in our adult life ends before we've barely begun? Why should learning be somehow done when you've got 3/4 of your life, possibly more, still to go? Some big questions. So stimulation, information, and prompts to action await you today as we delve into these topics with Bath College. Our speakers, we'll be bringing them in shortly, but we'll be speaking with Chris George, Kelly Vaughan-Watkins, Paul Blenkinsop, and Mike Wood from Bath College. Wide-ranging discussion about adult education, what courses are available, both from personal but also professional perspectives, upskilling, and also hearing about a government-funded initiative for lifelong learning. That's what it was, a mistake. Please send your questions and thoughts using the QA button below, and do add your company name or educational institution if you wish to be named, or you can be anonymous. Note that today's business surgery is being recorded and will be on our Bath Life YouTube channel this afternoon. First, some news from Bath Life and elsewhere in Media Clash before we get going. These Bath Life business surgeries are bespoke deep dive sessions showcasing companies and organisations' expertise and thinking through discussion. Look out for other education-related business surgeries, including more in the Discovery series with University of Bath School of Management. You can see November 17 for the next one of those. Please talk to us about how you might be involved in these, which are covered editorially in Bath Life, live on Twitter, happening right now, but they also have enduring value via our Bath Life YouTube channel. It's a terrific repository of insights. Business clubs, our next in-person business club is in a couple of weeks, Monday lunchtime, 7th of November, at the Royal Crescent Hotel, featuring this time the hospitality entrepreneur Debbie Still from Walcott House. Before then, we have our Bath Property Awards running on November 4th at Apex City of Bath, just a great gathering of property and pro services experts. 3 tickets, something like that, left apparently. So yeah, look lively if you want to attend those awards. Bath Life Awards, we've passed the equidistant point to the extent that matters, up to what it does. They ran just over 6 months ago and will be returning in March 2023. Unrivaled, effective, uber glamorous way to celebrate all that is best about Bath, including, of course, today's subject, education. There's also EntreConf, our entrepreneurs conference, which continues to develop from conference to video to intimate dinners with revelatory discussions, and the forthcoming EntreConf Conversations podcast series, The Future is Unwritten. And we're running a by-invitation only event on December 5th for female entrepreneurs in conjunction with Burgess Salmon and Coots. It's an example of the type of work we do with partners across any areas and run a variety of different events. Business begins with a conversation, so let's talk. Of course, at the heart of all we do is Bath Life, and we're really, really proud to publish a magazine that celebrates all of the good stuff in Bath, especially in this, our 20th year. Thank you for your support for Bath Life. Right, if the future is unwritten, there's Bath Life. Look at those splendid covers, always a joy. Let's introduce our speakers for today. Let's bring forward Chris George, Kelly Vaughan-Watkins, Paul Blenkinsop, Mike Wood of Bath College. And here they all are. Good morning to you each.
Good morning.
Good morning. I will just, for those who perhaps are less familiar with you, just give a quick bio. So Chris is the Assistant Principal, Business and Technical Skills at Bath College. His remit covers all adult provision at the college, varying from apprenticeships, free boot camps, community courses, part-time qualifications, and paid-for leisure courses. Kelly, Curriculum Manager for Adult Skills at the college, worked in adult community learning and now runs the English Language School, Distance Learning Department, and Adult Skills Boot Camps. Paul, Curriculum Manager for Adult Skills at the college, background in teaching sport, and now focuses on part-time qualifications, commercial courses, and part-time leisure courses at the college. And Mike, as the Business Development Manager, working across all areas, such as apprenticeships, work placements, and adult learning. Good morning to you each. I'm really looking forward to this discussion. We've got some important questions to come on to. But Chris, if I could start with you. If you could just set the scene about the scale of the college's activities, how many students, size of team overall, how long established? Thanks.
Yeah, well, thanks for having us. Good morning. Bath College is set primarily over two sites. We have one at the city centre of Bath, and then we have one out in Radstock. We also have a centre in Twerton High Street, where we do some of our adult community learning provision. And we work across, I would say, it's roughly 50 different community venues out of libraries and community centres, delivering adult provision for community learning. So in terms of the size of the college, I think we have around 9,000 students, of which 2,000 are 16 to 18 and roughly 6,000 to 7,000 adults, which I thought it's worth adding in there because it's sometimes the assumption that at a college is generally for 16 to 18 year olds that come out of school, but it's not. We have a vast and wide ranging curriculum for 16 to 18 year olds, but we have the same for the adults that we have in the college too. So wide range.
Chris, I think it will be a surprise to people that the traditional association with FE colleges, particularly Bath College, is that it's that 16 to 18-year-old cohort, but about 3/4 of yours are adults, which is exactly relevant to today.
Yeah. Our staff cohort sits at around 500 members of staff spread across the two sites. But then we have people that work with us on a self-employed perspective that do part-time work. So there's another, say, 200 staff that are working doing that across the different sites and the different venues that we're working from. The makeup of the two campuses, I think it's worthwhile noting that our site out in Radstock is more construction based. So some of the provisions that we have out in our Radstock campus, construction, engineering, motor vehicle. We have a large SEND provision, special educational need provision there. We've got animal care, welding, a new welding centre, and I suppose a little bit later on it'd be quite good to go through all the new investment that we've had in the college recently due to funding opportunities with some of the exciting new things that we've got on offer. For example, electric vehicles. We've got sustainability. We're teaching about solar panels and water recycling, heat pumps, new digital suites, new health centre. Some really exciting new resources that we now have at our disposal to make sure that what we're teaching is the exact thing that is in demand at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, there is so much ground to cover. I just want to pick up one of those points there, that you also work very closely with employers and employer groups in the area. Maybe just talk about that, about your commercial relationships as well as
I suppose that's so crucial at the moment and we've just started our newest round of employer boards, actually, where what we do is we bring in a set group of employers. Take hospitality, for example, and we bring so recently we had people in from the Royal Crescent. I think you mentioned the Royal Crescent earlier, Greg, to speak about what is actually required from employers, so that we're making sure that we're teaching students not necessarily just the things that are listed as the criteria on the qualification, the extra bits that are required by industry. And a lot of the provisions that we deliver, almost all of the provisions, have a large employer aspect. You have our 16 to 18 year olds, they go out and do work placements from a T-level perspective, which is another provision set of courses where they do more heavier amounts of hours from an industry placement perspective, very dependent and requires employer contact, all ranging to apprenticeships. We have things called skills boot camps that you may have heard as part of the lifelong learning initiative from government, where it's all about getting adults into work, and we put on a 12-week boot camp designed in conjunction with an employer, and at the end of the boot camp, the students have a guaranteed interview for a real life job, and we act as a bit of a recruitment pipeline to get students oven ready and ready and into work. So that on its own is, I suppose, a major one. And the employer aspect, and of which, in terms of the number of employers we work with roughly 1,000 employers in the college on different courses, ranging from SME, small, medium employers, up to large organizations, for example, the RUH. And we work with Baines.
I know that a number of employers also provide sort of mentoring and developmental work as well, because that's clearly important. I'd just like to ask your other colleagues, just an open question really. What do you think is distinctive about Bath College's approach? Paul, you're on mute.
Oh, you talking? I was just going to say we're all a little bit like polite. I think it's the full progression pathways that we provide people. Speaking from an adult perspective, my background is with community learning. So one of our other curriculum managers provides free courses for over 19s who aren't in work or earning a low wage, who have possibly been out of work for a long time, not been in education for maybe 20, 30 years. So it's massively intimidating to come into a college where everyone's taller than you. And, you know, we get that that's scary. But we take people from that level and give them confidence skills, English and maths, basic IT skills, but then the progression pathways we provide within the college are really unique. So they can go from Anna's courses, maybe onto one of my distance learning courses or one of Paul's part-time courses, come into a course that's given them a career rather than just a job, and make them really believe in themselves as well. So we really encourage that full progression pathway into getting them where they want to be and giving them the confidence in doing that as well.
Well, thank you for that point. We will be picking up that confidence and the motivation, particularly of adults coming back into education. Let's come on to the Adult Learning Initiative. How did that come about? What are its aims? Was it, to what extent was it explicitly a consequence of the pandemic?
I suppose we've been delivering adult courses at those sorts of volumes for years now, and it's probably something that's not known. So it's good to the numbers of people that we're getting through are largely not changed. I suppose what we've done as a result of the pandemic is we've honed our offer tighter, I suppose, to the demands of employers. So to run through some of the provisions that we deliver from an adult perspective, I think it'd be good to run through the kind of headlines. We deliver higher education courses, of which we've got our Access to HE course, where it enables students to do a year course or a part-time 2-year course to enable them to sort of fast track to go on to university. And then running through the adult skills provisions that we've got our skills boot camps that we discussed earlier, our distance learning courses, and we've got our English language school, which enables students where English is not their first language to learn English, of which recently we've supported, I think the numbers at around about 100 Ukrainian students recently on our English language school courses. We've then got community learning that's helping people with confidence and engagement, getting back into the sort of learning environment. And we also run something called sector-based work academies, which are a sort of smaller version of the skills boot camps that we discussed earlier, where you give someone a specific set of skills to then go on to a direct employment after. We then move on to our part-time qualifications, which sit in with Paul. And with our part-time qualifications, they're probably a little bit more traditional qualifications. To give you an idea of some of the runs that we're offering AAT qualifications. So that's accounting qualifications, and we're offering them from a level 1 to a level 4. So someone can come to us and they can start at a level 1 in AAT and leave with us with a level 4 accounting qualification, and we have the employer links to sort of make that happen. We have our commercial course offer, running things where you have things such as CSCS cards. So to go out on site in construction, to be able to actually go on site, you have to have a CSCS card to say that you're trained to a sort of health and safety standard. We run those, and we run those from, you know, a full cost perspective out to employers. And then last but not least, unless I'm missing one, which I'm sure the team will pipe in and say if I am, are our Love to Learn courses. And our Love to Learn courses are leisure courses where they're just full fee courses. You might pay £150 to do a 10-week course at 3 hours a week in ceramics, by which ceramics sells out faster than Glastonbury. Our ceramics courses
Is that true? Honestly, true?
We could build 10 ceramics classrooms in
the
college and still probably have too much demand. So our leisure courses are you know, Adobe and languages, and that gives us sort of breadth of the courses that we offer. And
we'll pick up some of those details. I think particularly for this audience, I think what is interesting is also about the psychology or the approach or why they should do this and what it's like. So I'd actually like to ask Paul or Mike this point. Is there anything inherently different for you or for your colleagues in teaching adults compared with that younger cohort? Is your approach different?
I'm happy to answer this one. I've been at the college for just over 9 years, so I've been fortunate in that time to teach from level 1 to level 6, so predominantly in sport, but all the way through to the full degree level. So I think, as Kelly sort of already said, that pathway is really clear, and I think that the support and guidance we give to those students that allows them to come at the right level to start with, so they come onto the right course, but also then to progress as far as they need to then progress out then into work. I think the big difference is I found between teaching the 16 to 19 provision and adults is that adults come in with a real laser focus, and they come in, they know what course they want to do, they know how they want to use that course, they want to upskill, they want to retrain, they want to come in and use that course to progress onto something else. So what we get is highly motivated students that are really, really good to work with, and also really give us some good feedback on how we can improve our courses. So that's constant. So I think that our tutors then have got that really good relationship with those students, and when they progress into industry, we've got some really good sort of links and alumni that we can contact, and we can bring in to do talks. So yeah, for us, it's like a different type, really.
And Mike, you concur with that?
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I don't do much in terms of the actual teaching, so my role more kind of works with the businesses to support with what Kelly and Paul do regards to boot camps and the courses to bring the businesses in to make that pathway. So I don't actually deal too much with the learners.
Sure. And then a similar point about structure. Do you broadly see this as effectively two groups of, say, leisure, arts, crafts, sports, etc., and professional training? And if so, is your approach in any way different to either of those groups?
I would probably say that the lines are blurred. I think that we have students that are that come across from maybe a 16 to 19 provision of 18 that come onto an adult course because they want to do accounting. So I think that the lines are very blurred, and I don't think that a student that comes to the college will have a different experience as a 16 to 19 student to an adult student. They get the same support through welfare, they get the same support in regards to the library facilities, access to tutors, tutoring. So I think that we try and make the experience very similar. And also then if any student transitions either way, they have that same support and experience throughout either campuses at the college.
So there's that continuity point, familiarity, broadly knowing what to expect obviously matters. Just back to that pandemic point, has there been, to any extent, has been a change in motivation that either people have, different life values as a result of it, and perhaps more towards some of the leisure courses, or alternatively, they need to upskill or reskill from a business point of view because of the various displacements? Has the pandemic affected how people are approaching adult education?
Can I answer this? So we found that obviously we had a massive learner drop off for the physical courses, but people wanted to do something in lockdown to use their brains, keep themselves engaged, but also the mental health aspects affected a lot of people. And in distance learning particularly, I mean, we run our courses. A lot of them are focused on health and social care, and we found the take up in courses looking at mental health first aid, counselling, understanding autism, supporting people, just went absolutely berserk in a way. And the amount of people who are enrolling on courses like that through lockdown to keep themselves engaged, to keep themselves learning, but also as a matter of personal interest as well. And we found those courses have been massively popular with people wanting to understand it. So I think that's been a big knock-on effect of COVID.
On this, just quickly on this the same question from kind of the my side of you working with the businesses, we've had a lot more interest in businesses getting involved in the form of apprenticeships. So before, sometimes it would be, you'd have your stereotypical apprenticeships in your construction based things, so carpentry, bricklaying and stuff. But we're getting a lot more people who are interested about upskilling their current staff on more what we would call professional courses. So, admin, management, accountancy, trying to, keep staff interested and engaged. But also with the recruitment crisis that's kind of had a knock-on effect from the pandemic, people are turning to apprenticeships as a way of kind of fixing their recruitment problems. So rather than try and get somebody who's already up and ready, what we're looking at is they are putting them on an apprenticeship to kind of mold them into their perfect candidate, which takes a bit longer, but people are willing to kind of go through that process now because they know that's the best way they can do it to get that person who's perfect for their company. So I think that's also a knock-on effect from kind of what we've seen over COVID over the past kind of 2 years, and also the government's, with the incentives, although they're still not available, there's still a lot of people who are aware of apprenticeships because of that and that government scheme.
Thank you. So you've touched on this, but let's come into some examples if possible. Why might adults engage? Perhaps, some examples of the types of people who've come forward, what they're doing and why. Who'd like to take that?
Yeah, okay with that. So we the element of work and getting people into an employment is massive at the moment. The two sort of headliners on that are our skills bootcamp courses and our sector-based work academy courses, and we work in close links with the DWP, the job centre, in getting people through. Their motivation is to get into work, and they've been made redundant, let's say, throughout the pandemic for whatever the reason might be, or they might want to change their skill set. So a lot of people at the moment coming through with the intention of trying to find work, cannot find work, don't have the skill set required to change direction, and we're able to provide that. And we're able to provide that in a short, sharp, they don't need to do a 3-year course, for example, to do it. They can come in and do a 12-week course, and we will provide them with the employers with the job opportunity, and get them employment.
Could I unpack this word bootcamp? I think for some people when they hear it, it either sounds military related or maybe in a work sense more digital. You often hear web bootcamps and so on. So perhaps some of your other colleagues talk us through what would it be like? What is a boot camp? What do you have to do?
It is military, but we provide all the camouflage gear so people don't have to worry about that element of it. So fundamentally, the boot camps are the Department for Education recognised certain skills that are missing across the UK, well, England, and have provided funding for colleges to run short courses to fill these gaps. They are for over 19s only, so we recognise that people have commitments such as childcare, existing jobs. But so what we do is we run them either one day a week at college or maybe in one evening a week, so it fits around other commitments. So what we do is we take someone. There's four types of people who will look at joining a boot camp. So you'll have someone who's unemployed and is looking for a new job or new career. You have someone who's already in a job that wants to change direction, or maybe wants to earn more money somewhere, wants a new challenge. But then we've got the employer aspect as well. So we've got self-employed people who feel that the skill that we're delivering will really benefit their business. So for example, we've got an entry-level website development bootcamp running in January. So for small business owners who maybe don't want to outsource their website development, but need to learn the basic skills, the course is absolutely perfect. And the fourth one,
Kelly, if I could take that very specifically, For
Yes.
someone watching this who's thinking, yeah, I quite fancy that, what, if anything, what qualifications or aptitudes might they have to get onto that particular course?
Just a willingness to learn.
Right.
Yeah, it's basically that simple. And the fourth one is employers who have people within their role, within their business, who want to upskill them, like Mike was saying, within their own workforce to bring in more business. So, for example, we've got a welding boot camp running at the moment. We've got a guy on there who's employed by a local employer, and him being able to weld will really benefit that business in opening up the avenues for them. So they're the kind of people who can get involved. The courses are free for learners, unless they're employed by an employer, in which case the employer makes a contribution, which is just a small element of that. But yeah, small courses, they come out with the skill. As Chris mentioned before, we pair with employers, so if they're not self-employed or not already in employment, we work with employers who will come in, interview them with the potential of giving them a live job at the end of the course as well.
Okay, just a little bit more detail on that paid element. I think employers would want to know this. Insofar as it's typical, say, I don't know, a 12-week course, roughly what might it cost an employer?
For an SME, about £300 per employee.
For a particular skill over that period of time. Okay.
Yeah, so we've got 6 coming up. If I can just run through them quickly.
Please.
Yep, we've taken Chris's job of the salesperson in this conversation now. So we've got a multi-skills, which is property maintenance. So that's going to cover a little bit of plastering, electrics, plumbing, painting and decorating. We've got electric motor vehicle, which is the level 3 course for anyone who's in that kind of area, so they do need knowledge already. We've got entry-level BIM and AutoCAD. We've obviously got the website development, as I mentioned before. We've got environmental technologies, which is plumbing, and then we've got welding as well. So all of those are on our website. There's a page with all the information on for each one, and you can contact us with questions about commitment, about enrolling, all that kind of thing.
And we've had a question from our good friend, anonymous attendee, who's a busy attendee of these events. And I think it's a specific point here, but a more general as well. As the owner of a small business, how can I work with Bath College to upskill my team, but also take on apprentices? But then a related one, which I'd add to that is, if an employer wanted a course on, I don't know, how to write social media copy or whatever, what are the limitations from your side about taking on a course and responding to employers' needs? Or is it, we have this framework and you try to fit their needs into that framework?
Well, I think I'll pick this one up quickly. Just so in terms of taking on apprentices and upskilling, it's a conversation. So if they would be interested in working with a college on that, they would need to email into the industry offerings inbox. That would be picked up by one of us in the business development team. So there's me, the business development manager, and we've now got 4 with out for a 5th of business development consultants. So we've got 4 people, soon to be 5, who will look after the different sectors and work with these businesses to find how we can support their needs.
Right. So Mike, could I ask you to repeat that email address, and for our team, if we could pop this on the social media feed about this.
Yeah, so it's industry offerings at bathcollege.ac.uk.
Right. Okay. And we will add that also to the coverage in Bath Live, because part of the role here is to prompt links between businesses as well as individuals, but with the college. So yeah, thank you.
Of course. Yeah. So once that's kind of happened, they will have that initial conversation. We would talk about all the different ways that we've worked together. And if it was an apprenticeship that they wanted to look at, then what we would do is we'd talk for different courses and we would find one that best fit their business needs. Because the apprenticeships, there's such a vast variety. We run apprenticeships across 13 sectors, so we're quite lucky that we can be really flexible in terms of what we do. Once that's happened, we then go through the process of trying to support you to find that apprentice for our recruitment service. But if you've got people in-house that you want to develop, we would also support with that. In terms of cost, for an SME, the most you would ever need to pay for an apprenticeship would be 5% of the overall cost. So it's not a fixed rate, it's variable depending on the course.
So 5% of the overall course cost. And could you give, I don't know, some indicative range or something? Yeah. Sorry,
yes. To give you an example, with business admin, one of our more popular courses, that's a £5,000 apprenticeship. So 5% of that would be 250, and that's what the business would need to pay for that apprenticeship. So you know, it's not a lot in the grand scheme of things if you're getting that development from that person. In terms of short courses that you mentioned, you know, those little ones that we could put on, well, that's where Paul would come in terms of what he does and the commercial courses. So we know there's a need for things that we might not be able to offer, but if we can gather enough interest, we have the skill set and the ability within the teaching team that we can put on those courses. So I know that Paul's recently done some work with one of our tutors around different leadership courses for people who don't want a full qualification but want small awards. So we have the ability to do that.
So Paul, if broadly speaking, if there's critical mass, if there's enough of an apparent need, you'll attempt to find a way of delivering that value. Is that how it works?
Yeah, pretty much. We look at if there's demand for it from an employer comes to us and said they have 5 or 6 staff or a number of staff that need to be upskilled in a certain area, then we can look at what course they would like to run, if they want a particular qualification with it. If they don't, then we can work with that employer then to put on something to support them. And it all comes down to the individual needs of each employer, and we can match those.
Yeah, just to flip back, it's on the cost point again, but this is more from a personal point of view. Again, one of our attendees has asked, are there grants for travelling or for food, etc.? Just concerned about low-income people believing it's just not possible to get there or to get the benefit, in other words.
Yeah, I mean, the
funding.
Yeah, the as Kelly said, yeah, funding for any grants, all types of support that you would imagine, from bus tickets, for example, is a tangible one, I suppose, to discuss. And in terms of the courses themselves, the vast majority of the courses, almost all the courses that we've discussed today, apart from the leisure courses that we said about ceramics, are free to almost everyone. But yeah, there's all the types of support out there to enable people to get in.
And Mike touched on the direct approach from employers through email, but I wonder from a individual's point of view, what's the process of learning more? Is it to explore the Bath College website? Are there discovery sessions of any sort? I can't imagine there's open days quite the same way, but how does it work?
We will have a presence at the open days. So whenever one of the open events runs at either City Centre or Summer Valley, there will always be an adult education, at least one of us there. It's a complete potluck, whether you get one of us, which one you get, but yeah, you'll have one of us.
On that front, in March, there's going to be a dedicated adult open event at Bath College that will take place at our city centre, and also in February there will be a apprenticeships and jobs fair that we will have around 100 employers there. We did do it before COVID. We had it up at the assembly rooms, and if you've been in the assembly rooms, you could imagine the scale of the event, because with the size, we'll be doing something quite similar. But yeah, a dedicated adult event in March and a dedicated apprenticeship and jobs fair in February.
We also, as part of the business development team, we're always at careers and jobs fairs. There's always somebody there. So, trying to bring people into the college, and the business development team talk about everything. So it's not just apprenticeships and jobs. We talk about all the different courses. So anything that we offer at Bath College, we will be able to talk about to some extent when we're at those jobs and careers fairs. So that's kind of what we do as the business development team.
A couple of points, thank you. A couple of points about that. Please do make sure that the details, particularly those March and February events, are popped through to the Bath Life team, because we can help promote that. And also, just one observation in passing, whilst it's always great to run events at the assembly rooms, with the National Trust taking it over, that I guess is not going to be an option come March. But
hence why my non-confirmation of where it would be. Yeah, agreed.
Okay, so Chris, where will it be then? Come on, tell us.
Yeah, there's a few places on the list. I don't think they're confirmed yet, but people could have a think of some big venues in Bath that we're looking at currently.
Yeah, other great venues are also available.
Agreed.
Can I just make one more point about the welfare?
Sure.
Obviously, with a lot of our courses, people do require equipment or kit. So, for example, the welding ones, people need boots and overalls, special fire retardant overalls. We're quite knowledgeable as to where additional sources of funding can be gained, and work quite closely with agencies such as Future Bright, who are part of Baines Council, who are able to access funding for things like that. So I just want to say, if you're worried about the cost of anything that's involved with a course, please don't be, because we're really good at finding ways of supporting people with gaining equipment and things like that.
That's a great point. Let's come back to this approach for some adults. Do you find in your experience that some adults are sort of cautious about reverting to structured education that they left when they were 16, 18, 21, whatever? Or is that not where I'm trying to work out where the barriers are to more people coming forward?
Some issues that I've had previously when talking to potential candidates for apprenticeships is the concern that they're going to be the oldest in the classroom.
Mm.
We get quite a high number of people who are returning to work after long periods of time. For example, we have a lot of mums who are coming back from maternity but actually don't want to go back to what they did before. So you get a lot of people who've been off for a year and they think, oh, I want to do something else, but I don't want to be that person. So, for example, accountancy is quite common in that one. And they think, oh, we're going to be surrounded by 16-year-olds. But the variety of people that you get on apprenticeships and stuff, because we do our accountancy also with the part-time course as well, there's all sorts of different ages and stuff. So the people who feel like they're going to be surrounded by young people, actually, you might be finding actually probably one of the youngest in the classroom. So don't let that be kind of a barrier in terms of fear.
It's as people get older, I think that there become more and more barriers to coming back into learning, and I completely understand that myself, having done my degree at the age of 36 and doing a complete career change later in life. And one of the learners on my welding boot camp at the moment is 82. So you can't put any of our adult learners into a stereotypical box. It just doesn't work. Like Mike said, we have mums coming back off maternity. We have people who've maybe never had a job and at school were told they were rubbish. We've got people who've been made redundant and have only known one job for their whole life. So we see such a range of people come in, and I think when learners come into our classrooms, I was an apprentice last year myself. A lot of the apprenticeships, Anna's apprentice, she's 50, she's doing a level 3 customer service. So we see such a wide range of adults. You can't say that they are a certain person or a certain way. And I think they come into our classrooms and they see how wide ranging and people are, the backgrounds. It's quite inspiring, actually, some of the stories we have. So it really inspires you with the adults who have to overcome so many more barriers than a 16-year-old to come to college, work around a family, look at the costs, and the practical side of things. That like I say, it's inspiring.
There's one other element, I'm sure that is pretty germane to all of this, which is that for 16 to 18, 19-year-olds, the social element of being together is part of the learning, part of their personal development. Is there any particular focus on this for adults, or is it essentially slightly more transactional? They come, they learn, they go.
No, there is more of that, as you can imagine, because the adults are signing up for a short course. They know exactly what they want. They want to learn accounting in an evening for 3 hours. So it does inherently lend itself to less of the social element, where the 16 to 18-year-olds are in college for, say, 3 days a week, for example. So they have more of that. However, we make sure that we build into all of our programs the same kind of ethos that you would get at 16 to 18-year-olds, so that you have elements of tutorials, so that we have strong group working activities and additional sessions where you can put on where students can discuss and mingle with each other. And we have, now with COVID and Microsoft Teams is the primary thing that we use in the college from like a virtual perspective. We have groups set up on there where students have their student groups and they can discuss, and it's almost like their own little chat rooms that they haven't got themselves on sort of WhatsApping each other. They've got their group set up on Teams, and it's really nice to see people getting support from their colleagues on adult courses when it wouldn't have necessarily been that before the pandemic. So if there is any good that has come out of it, I think that the world of virtual working and being able to, we've got courses on at the moment that are fully remote. We just did a software engineering course, for example, for adults in the evening. It was around between 7 and 9 o'clock, 3 nights a week. And we put it there so that adults would potentially, they put their kids to bed, they could sign on, they don't have to travel into the college to be able to do it. They could learn it all remotely. And, so, and then really good. And I suppose that networking, peer group working from an adult perspective is inherently not as much as it is with the 16 to 18-year-olds, and be lying to say that it was, but it is stronger than you would imagine it would be from a sort of stereotypical perspective.
It also happens organically. I mean, every short course that I've done, we've always ended and gone for a meal or a drink after the last session. If you're there for 12 weeks, or even a week, you still build those bonds and those relationships with people in the classroom, because that's just what humans do, even on teams and stuff. So although you don't have that same element like you would if you were 16 to 18 or 16 to 19, organically it happens. There's people you're going to click with and stay in contact with. There's people that I've done short courses with that I still actually keep contact with. So it's just one of those things that happens as well.
So I mean, that's a sort of one of the softer benefits, I'd imagine, of at least some of the courses, spending time with like-minded people, building new friendship relationships, whatever. We've had a specific question about Bath Rugby. Someone's asking, could you tell me more about your links with Bath Rugby, in particular women's rugby, and why that's such a focus for you? Can you say what you do with Bath Rugby?
So, go on, Paul.
Well, I'm happy to talk about this. So I was involved in the original setup of this. Yeah. So obviously through the sports department. So we do a lot of work with clubs in the area. So we've had a link for 8 years. We're entering our 9th year now with Bath City Football Club. So we run their football academy. We're in the process of looking at potentially links with Bath Cricket, and that's an area we'd like to look at as well. And Bath Rugby, for many years, we've looked at different ways in which we could work with them. And from a sporting perspective, obviously Bath being the biggest, if not one of the biggest in the area, if not the southwest, we've always been keen on building those links, but also those opportunities for female athletes as well, and also increasing that pathway. So our links with Bath University, and also for those students to progress onto our degree programs at the college as well. So our thoughts on it really are just to give different opportunities to female athletes in the area. We have some high performance athletes that are at the college through our TAS program, but our academy-based stuff, apart from our men's football, we don't have any other females. So it's a real drive over the last few years to set this up, and it's been something in the pipeline. I'm sure Mike will tell you a lot more, but we are doing a lot more with Bath Rugby as well in different areas, which I'll pass over to Mike and tell you about that.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, I was just going to say, the women's academy thing is great. It's amazing just to be able to do that. I mean, one thing that Bath Rugby, as a rugby man myself, Bath Rugby hasn't got is every other club up and down the country is linked to a elite women's team, and Bath is one of the last ones to do that. So to be able to have that pipeline and that academy is only going to benefit everyone in the city. So that's great. In terms of what other stuff we're doing at Bath Rugby, so we're really trying to build that relationship, because they're quite a big employer in the area, and there's some stuff there. So we have done some work previously with the RPA, which is the Rugby Players Association. And what we've tried to do is we tried to offer courses to players who want to kind of build their skills and whatever they're doing, to be able to move into life after rugby. Rugby is a short, sharp career where it can end at any point. So we try to offer our courses, our adult courses, to them to say, well, why don't you come and try a bit of plumbing? Why don't you come and try a bit of welding? Why don't you come and try a bit of floristry, for things that they can do afterwards? So that's kind of another way that we've kind of tried to work with them, and we're trying to continue to build those relationships more and more.
Yeah, good. Let's come to a point from Dan Nichols from our Bath Life team. Perhaps give some further examples of upskilling courses that employers and employees can utilise, particularly in the services sector, or indeed any sector. Pick a couple you've not discussed so far. Yeah,
we could run. So we run youth work qualification over a year-long course. We have our CIPD courses, so from a HR perspective. We have our leadership and management courses that we're starting soon in January. I suppose if I run through some of the adult, you have carpentry, electrical courses in the evening. Paul, you've got some other examples of construction, the built environment?
Yeah, construction environment, building services engineering at level 3 and level 4. So that gives us with different pathways for electrical and HVAC as well. Electrical installation year level 2 and level 3 is very popular. Students coming in to do that. We currently offer, as Chris has said, ILM and CIPD courses. We're looking to, from January as well, run CIM courses as well. So, and obviously our accounting as well, which Chris has already mentioned, from level 1 to 3 at the moment, and then level 4 from September is really popular as well. So lots and lots of different courses in the day and evening that students can access.
A couple to just add in there, I suppose, would be we're starting quite soon. We will be running complementary therapies. As we're in Bath, you can imagine, you know, to be able to do that, and new catering courses for the hospitality region. We already run some of our sector-based work academies where we get people food and hygiene certificates as they come onto our courses, so that they're able to come out straight away with the appropriate qualifications to be able to go straight into industry. So yeah, that's, and I suppose, Greg, you touched on earlier about demand, and we're primed to send something out quite soon. Actually, we're just in the final touches of creating it. But if there is enough demand from employers or students, you know, it's quite straight. We have the ability to be able to deliver almost any course. The facilities that we've got on both our sites, we have everything. We've got kitchens, we've got, you know, health boards, we've got a creche, we've got a gym. They're new digital facilities. We can offer almost any type of provision. If there's enough demand, we will go out and source a specialist to be able to teach it, and we will put that course on, whether it be free if we can find a funded route for it, or whether it be a costed route if there's no funding available. And as Kelly said, you know, we're pretty fly with being able to find funding for students to be able to support, but equally working with the West of England Combined Authority, with the Education Skills Funding Agency and the Department for Education. There are funding routes available to be able to fund adult courses, with the big push at the moment with the white paper from government and upskilling and reskilling. It's never been a better time to get into to upskill from an adult perspective. And do you mind if I just discuss some of the initiatives that we have at the college that are quite specific, that we're working in partnership with people about?
Yeah, please do. I'm checking the time. We've got about 10-15 minutes to go. So
yeah, I'll run through. So we're part of one that we work with the West of England Combined Authority called Workforce of the Future. And Workforce of the Future is about supporting SMEs, so small medium employers in the region, with whatever is needed. And we work in partnership with a variety of different partners, supporting from a business need perspective, and we obviously help out from a skills perspective. So if you're an SME employer in the region, get in touch. There's lots of things we can do to support. We also working as a part of an Institute of Technology. So the Institutes of Technology, and there are around 20 around the country. We're part of one called the West of England Institute of Technology, and we're joined up with Yeovil College, Gloucester College, Western College, and ourselves, with a big focus on digital engineering and health and higher level qualifications and skills, as that's, you know, the demand at the moment. And sort of another joined a new project that will be coming off quite soon, is something called iStart that you may have heard in Bath. So we're working in conjunction with Bath Spa University and Bath University on to offer a suite of modules. So imagine a screen with tiles on there of different things that you could choose, very modular. And someone comes in, it might be someone who's employed, it might be someone that's not, and says, I want to learn that, and that, and they can pick bite-sized bits, clump them together into sort of an iStart qualification, as it were. And it won't matter whether they learn it at the college or one of the universities. It will just be an offer of education, and you can hop on, hop off of the different courses that you do. And again, that will be focused on areas such as digital, sustainability, health, employability. So lots going on, lots of partnerships with different training providers, different stakeholders across the area, because, you know, it's quite, I suppose, obvious to say it, but the better partnerships we have with people, the easier it makes it for the student and the employer.
Yeah.
That if we just come
and the
with
more
one,
relevant.
yeah.
Thank you for that. Let's come to it's quite a specific point, but I think it applies across the piece. How important are actual accreditations of some sort? You mentioned about ISAR, for example, as opposed to skill development. I mean, are there effectively actual graduations? What do you get at the end of it, of some of these courses?
Yeah, I mean, as short of me just talking, and I am a bit of a talker, so apologies. I'll do this one and then I'll be quiet. They've both got their place, really. We've just recently had a graduation for our HE students. We get qualifications for a lot of the things that we do. Is they're still required, across the board. That people need set qualifications to move into set sectors. That being said, we are seeing a rise of employer and student demand of people that would like the skills, and they're less concerned about the qualification element. The skills boot camps, for example, that Kelly was just describing, the employers are more interested in, say, welding, making sure that the people come out can do, I don't know, underwater welding. I'm sure that's not a thing, sorry Kelly, but if that was the thing that was required, we will teach that. It won't have a qualification. The person will come out oven ready with the skills to be able to do underwater. So it's a bit of a on the fence answer, but it is the right answer. They both have their place, and so we make sure that we deliver both.
What I think what Michael will be able to give you some more information on as well is we've attached to the boot camps, because some of them don't have accreditation, and people like recognition for what they've done.
Absolutely.
We've created digital badges for them. So the digital badges are specific to the course that they're doing and will detail the skills that they've learned on the course, and then they're uploaded onto a site so prospective employees can track and see the skills that these guys have learned. So it's another way of adding the proof that they've gained these skills.
Yeah,
what we've also done is we're trying to work and match these boot camps to apprenticeships for people to progress onto. So as Chris said, sometimes they come out oven ready, other times they're like a part baked baguette, they're not quite there yet, and they need a little bit more honing. So we link them to a apprenticeship, and they can continue that development with the employer they've been successful with, been recruited by. For example, the welding one, we offer level 2 and then level 3, so they can continue that development and that progression and really work their way into that industry and learn the underwater welding skills, which I'm sure Chris is going to invent.
We're good. We've had a question that you touched on this area, but a little bit more, if we may, about mental health. So this person said, mental health and well-being has become a big part of how we manage our employees, and of course are thoughtful about friends, contacts, colleagues, whatever. Are there ways that Bath College can support employers to navigate these needs and or to build resilience in our leadership teams and people? Big topic.
I love how everyone's just staying quiet.
The one thing we do
with the distance learning courses, we're finding a lot of people taking part in the mental health ones and the team leading ones to be able to learn those skills and then distribute them throughout their workforces, and that's been really popular recently. So they are fully funded, as all of our courses, and you do them in your own time online with the support of a tutor. And we're finding the counselling skills, the mental health first aid, and those kind of aspects are really, really popular at the moment. And a lot of people we're finding a lot of people are taking them, not just for their own interest, but also for their professional development as well. So we put a lot of our own staff through them, and having those skills and the understanding, and that is an accredited course as well. So that's the level 2, and we're going to do a level 3 as well. So like you say, with the accreditation, that's something that they gain with that.
Right. And again, and this is, I mean, it applies generally, but perhaps give some specifics if possible. What's the blend of teaching, of learning? Is it how much is all in person, or it's all remote or hybrid? And if the course doesn't require physical presence, some does because it's physically based. Can students simply opt to work remotely, or do you encourage them to come in some form? How does that work?
Well, it depends. I suppose we've got a large distance learning offer that is solely remote. And then it just depends on the course. So for a lot of the more practical based courses, they can come in for the practical element. And then we have some of the classes that we deliver online is a more blended approach. For some of the courses that might be take your leadership and management courses, for example, some of the offers might be in the evenings. I suppose the detail of the course will be dependent on, you know, what we can put on and what we think the demand might be, and it would be better off going to the website. And apologies, that's not, I don't sort of have all the full detail of that there, Greg, but the it's different for different courses. I'd say the vast majority of the courses that we still deliver are face-to-face with
Right.
blended elements, but we do have now more courses than we've had before that are online, taking the sort of traditional distance learning approach, which is its own separate beast, I suppose.
And in terms of that beast, that distance learning approach, I mean, are there geographical barriers, and does it actually matter? Anyone can sign up from anywhere?
Yeah, we've got people from, you know, as far up as Liverpool and further studying for free with Bath College on distance learning
Nice.
courses, no problem.
There are some funding eligibility criteria, but generally it's the whole of England we can support. And another thing that we've just brought in with the distance learning courses that we're starting this week as well are some live team sessions. So for example, this week we've invited all of our counselling students in for an hour-long session with one of our tutors who's going to deliver a presentation and take questions and answers. So it just adds to the whole learning experience as well.
Yeah. So different one, are there options to sit or indeed resit GCSEs, picking up on subjects either for interest or for business need?
Maths and English GCSE are free for absolutely anyone if they don't have a grade 4 or an old sort of grade C. Yeah, we've got those courses running all the time, remote and face-to-face.
Cool. Slightly more theoretical point about education, that in past decades, the sort of liberal education approach has been that education is not is an end in its own right, and it's not all about being career purposes so much as helping develop people's thinking, skills and experience. Does at least some of the adult education that you're providing give an opportunity to revisit that point about education as part of development as opposed to a means to an end of business?
Yeah, I mean, we try and provide both. If people want to go on and get the job, we try and make sure that every course has a good progression employment opportunity. But if people are coming in just to study, just because they want to, you know, understand, you know, carpentry at a level 2 or level 3 standard, yeah, that's for them too. We will not turn people away if they just because they don't want to get a job out of it.
And let's come to one of the start points, which is this governmental initiative, the extra funding that there is. What does success look like for Bath College here? Are there, I don't know, some targets for numbers of adult students?
Okay, yeah, I'm probably best as got the sort of overall picture of it. There's a large push to get people into employment. So I suppose employment is a large push at the moment, but it's, I suppose, any type of positive progression is what we're looking for, and we measure that all the time to you know. So that could be moving on to a different course, that could be moving on to a university course, gaining employment. For some people, it's about being able to just access education and get out of the house, you know, and people that just want to study and do something different other than, I suppose, stare at the four walls. So we, you know, to get employment and other courses is sort of maybe the stock and the main headline answer, but we measure a variety of different positive progressions, and something like our adult community learning, where, you know, it's just about people being out and about and engagement is a massive win.
And is this extra funding just for this year and these post-pandemic times, in which case jump now for the courses, or is it expectation it will continue?
We imagine it will continue. The focus on adult skills, reskilling, upskilling, adult development at the minute is as large as I have ever known it. And we are able to access funding if we need it.
Okay, last one, because we are at our hour, is this. You've covered a lot of ground about the courses, about the motivations, about the structure, funding, etc. Could each of you, or perhaps one of you, just sum up why people watching this might consider one of these courses at Bath College? The elevator pitch.
I'm willing to pitch this, I think. As I said, I've been at the college for over 9.5 years, and I think I've been fortunate to teach at, as I said, from level 1 to level 6. And I think the biggest thing the college is very good at is that we try and get the right student onto the right course, and we try and support them in that. And once we got them onto the course, then is to allow them to achieve as far as they need to go. I think what people need to understand, probably outside of who doesn't know too much about college, is that it's a really, really good environment for all students. Doesn't matter what age you are, what level you are, what your background is, what your experiences are with education previously. I think the college has always got some support system and some course that can help you achieve. And I think the big thing is trying to break down those barriers. As Chris said very early on in this call, is that if you don't succeed at school, you go to college. I think we have many, many students that come to us that progress from a level 1 through to a full degree and in a profession now, because they've wanted to come to college in a different environment rather than school. So I think at 16 to 19, I think it's different, but also adult as well. It's that you are never too old to come to college and learn. And I think there's always something that we can do, if it's from an apprenticeship, from a boot camp, from a part-time qual, from a love to learn perspective. Even if you want to just come in, do a leisure course and come and do some painting. You know, there's lots and lots of ways you can always learn. So for us, I think it's coming to see what we're about, come and have a conversation. And, you know, we got some very, very talented and very, very good tutors and teachers that will be there to support.
Well, I do think, with respect to your other colleagues, Paul, that's a great ending for this. I think it's a brilliant summary of the offering, the clear passion, the determination, the opportunity. That phrase, "we're never too old to learn." And yeah, the idea that learning somehow stops at 16, 18 or 21 is sort of daft. And with the courses that you're providing at Bath College, it's quite clear that there are many, many, many routes to development, whether personal or professional. So to you each, thank you to our Bath Life Business Surgery speakers today, to Chris, to Kelly, to Paul and to Mike, and of course to Bath College. Thank you for your insights and inspiration. And those prompts to action. I think it's quite clear. Take a look at the courses on the Bath College site, consider what has been said today, and see what works for you. I'd also say, do look out for this being on YouTube, and to promote that link as well, because you know others who weren't able to watch this live will see the value that they might have, whether yes, personally or professionally. Thanks also to the considerable number of questions we've had and the time for people watching. Thanks also, more thanks for your support for Bath Life as well. This has been a Media Clash production, and this has been our latest Bath Life Business Surgery. Thank you. Bath together, always. Thanks.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Thank you.